Welcome to Moments with Marianne. I'm so delighted we're spending this time here today. We have a very empowering show coming right up with special guest, Whitney Jefferson Evans. And she's here today to share with us her new book, The Beginner's Guide to Starseeds, Understanding Star People and Finding Your Own Origin in the Stars. So have you ever looked up at the sky and wondered, gosh, do I belong there, and feel a little homesick? Well, you're not alone. Many people feel the same way. Today with our special guest, Whitney Jefferson Evans, we're going to explore the ancient New Age concept of starseed, which are spiritually advanced people with strong psychic abilities sent here to help us on Earth. Many of you know Whitney. She's a spiritual seeker. She spent the years of 2015 and 18 studying the energy healing modalities of Reiki, where she completed all 4 levels in training and eventually received the title of Reiki Master. She spends her free time learning about healing modalities and using herself as a test subject for the latest in wellness trends. Throughout her studies, she's received certificates in crystal Reiki, color psychology, and in her day job, she currently serves as Deputy Editorial Director and Director of Pop Culture at BuzzFeed. She's appeared on The Today Show, CNN, HLN, Nightline, Entertainment Tonight, Extra, and many more. She co-hosted BuzzFeed Radio and appeared on Watch What Happens Live. So let's welcome to the show, Whitney Jefferson Evans.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
What an honor it is to have you here again and to talk about this new book. I am so excited about this. And what inspired you to write this one?
What did it? I mean, honestly, it's something that I've been interested in for a while. My actual Reiki teacher had kind of an awakening into her starseed lineage a couple of years ago. And so she was the first person that kind of mentioned it to me. And from there, it was kind of just off to the races, just being completely fascinated by it. And actually, luckily enough, I feel like a lot of other people are fascinated by it as well. I know I've just seen a lot of chatter over the past, has been growing over the past couple of years. So it feels like this book was timed pretty appropriately with when it came out.
Well, that is perfect. And for people who are new to starseed, why don't you break it down? Like, what are starseeds?
Absolutely. And I know this can be a bit heady. So at its absolute most simple, a starseed is just a person who chose to incarnate on Earth at a specific time to help our planet, to help expand our consciousness and kind of bring us to the next level. So they're here to help.
Well, that's really exciting. And so you probably have a lot of people going, well, that's me. I came here to help,
Absolutely. So what makes it a little bit different? I think we are all a lot of us could be starseeds, and a lot of starseeds I do feel are in the light working kind of world, or they're healers. So I do think there's a lot of overlap there. But essentially the idea is that you also have to believe in previous lifetimes in order to kind of get to vibe with the idea of starseeds. But the idea is that in a previous lifetime, your soul made the decision to come here on Earth. So generally, these people are really, or these souls, if you want to say, are really, really intelligent beings that live life on other planets. So they could be from a different planet system, a star system, whole other galaxy. But the idea is they are highly intelligent beings that have been kind of keeping an eye on Earth, and they are choosing to live a life here. So yeah, that's how I would summarize it.
Well, we need all the help we can get. So I'm glad they're here.
Definitely.
Oh, so what are some of the common traits? I know we've gone over a little bit, but are there like common traits of all starseed people?
Absolutely. So there's a lot of shared traits that a lot of starseeds all kind of relate to. So the biggest one that I think is probably the most widely commonly shared is being empathetic, or really an empath. I know you talk a lot about that. I know that's something probably your entire audience is familiar with, but a deep sense of empathy and relating to other people is very much a starseed trait. Another one that's really interesting that I find fascinating is starseeds tend to have this feeling of homesickness. So it's not necessarily a homesick for where they were born and raised in America or anywhere on this earth. It's a homesick for the stars or from where they really were from. So a lot of starseeds have this feeling of they don't belong here. They're homesick for somewhere they don't really know where it is. And that's actually because their home is not on this planet. It's out in the stars. And so it's funny. Some starseeds have always felt this way. And then when they discover they're a starseed, it kind of clicks to them. Oh, that's why I'm homesick. Other starseeds have just always been drawn to the skies. So they find themselves, staring out into space all the time or completely just enraptured by constellations and what's going on, in space. And it's because they once lived there. They once had lives there. And so they actually do have this homesickness that really can't be fulfilled living here on Earth because it's not really where they're from.
So why do you think so many starseeds are waking up to their lineage right now?
Tell me about it. Well, I do believe that we are, entering a whole new era. Some people believe that it is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Other people kind of just think we're entering this new age. Other people think that we're entering into, 5D, the fifth dimension. There's a lot of reasons why. And actually, there's a lot of different ways and reasons people can discover they're a starseed. So lots of different ways. So some people just have the realization out of the blue. Sometimes, it might be in meditation or they just hear the term starseed and it resonates with them. And so then they look into it and they have this realization. Other people discovered it in some kind of near-death experience or trauma where, they actually can remember their previous lives. And so they get that information that way. Other people have discovered it, creatively. So through creative expression, through art. Some people have, painted a light language and not really even known what it was, or painted symbols that only register them to them later. So there's lots of different ways. But also I just want to note that some people are born knowing. So, I don't know how involved or interested you are in, say, indigo children, or just the fact that people believe that children sometimes have these, they have access to things that we don't really have access to anymore as adults. So there are some people who are born as a starseed and knowing that, as a child out of the womb, which is wild. And other people will never even really realize it in this lifetime. And that's okay. Nothing really happens if you don't, find out your true lineage in the stars in this lifetime, because your soul made the decision to be here and to help Earth and to help, humanity. And even if you aren't conscious of the fact that you made that choice, you absolutely are still helping, even if you're not consciously helping. So I wanted to note that.
Oh my gosh.
And also just to note, starseeds come to Earth for a lot of reasons. I mean, obviously, most of them are coming here to help Earth, but sometimes they want to come just to, experience life as a human, to live in a three-dimensional world. Some of them want to, get to understand why humans are the way they are more. And they know when they choose to incarnate on this planet that they largely, like I said, there are some exceptions, but mostly they will not remember their previous lifetimes when they're born on Earth. They know that going into it. So if you are a starseed and you never really realize it, that's okay. It's totally okay. Any starseed could be from any one of those potential places that we may or may not have even discovered yet. But like I said, in the book, I go over some of the major ones. So yeah, I can talk about them. So one of the most common ones are the Pleiadians from the Pleiades. And so they are really, really, they're really, really happy, calming, energetic people on Earth, and they're really aligned to their heart chakra. So they're here kind of to give their wisdom, bring peace, and that really they are trying to help humans, anything in relation to the heart, which is fascinating, which I love. And in general, like I said, everything is kind of tied to the heart chakra, so that extends to kind of across the board. One example is they love the Earth. So they are defenders of the planet. They tend to be really involved in environmental causes, and they really, really, really care about protecting this planet. They also really, really care about animals and protecting animals. Just kind of as the same way that they love humans, they love Earth, they love the animals as well, which I love. And in general, like I said, it's really, really heart-based, but they're really, really also in tune with their intuition. And that is very shared among a lot of starseeds, but Pleiadians especially, I have really, really great intuition, and they also tend to daydream a lot, which does tie into the intuition, actually. And they also are drawn to the arts. So that's a little short explanation of Pleiadians. I would love, I hope that when people are listening to this, they might relate to some of these. So that's a little discussion of the Pleiadians. Would you like me to go through a few more?
Yeah, why don't you choose one more? Because I find these so fascinating. And I think a lot of people are going, wait a minute, I really, kind of resonate with this. I'm sure that this is probably, me.
Exactly. I mean, yes. And I do want to just note that you can relate to one or you can relate to all of them. There actually is no limit to, and this probably makes sense to your listeners, but there's no limit to how many lives you could have lived previously before coming to Earth. So if you find that you're relating to multiple, it's very possible that you do have, previous lifetimes on multiple. But I'm going to talk about the Syrians next because I find them fascinating and they're also really, really a popular one. So Syrians, it's fascinating. They have this huge love of water, just everything about it. So they either really want to, be near it. They might, live near the ocean, live near a river. They might, water might be their self-care method. So it's baths or things like that. They really, really love everything having to do with oceans. And it kind of ties back to the idea that the Syrians come from a planet that was water-based, which is fascinating. So they tend to just be really drawn to water. And similarly, to the water, they're also just very calming. So Syrians have a really calming influence on the people that they're around, which I think is just so cool. They also really, really want to understand humans. So they are here to help themselves understand how humans operate, which is great. They also tend to be pretty quiet and they feel emotions very deeply. It's funny, and I'm sure, I don't know, there's probably, honestly, I would love to see a study. I don't know if there's any relation to, astrological signs and, a starseed, but everything about these sound really, really, Pisces or water signs to me. It's really interesting, the connection, but they tend to be quiet. They feel their emotions very, very deeply. And they're really, really have high morals and high integrity, which is fascinating. And so they do give a lot of advice also. And they're just really spiritual. So a lot of Syrians end up being light workers or healers. They really tend to be spiritual people and they just constantly want to learn and study. So they want to know more here on Earth and how to help people, back to the helping nature of starseeds. They're just very, very healing helper type. A lot of them become like shamans or, like I said, light workers or some kind of healing professional. And they tend to try to heal themselves first, in this lifetime. And then once they've kind of achieved that, their next goal in life is just to heal everyone else that they can. So they tend to just be, the healing types who are just intense, emotional, and calming. So those are Syrians.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for going through that. And it's so fascinating. You go into such detail in your book. It's such a great book. One of the things I found fascinating is that you talk about meeting our star family.
Yes.
So I first of all, it's like, how do you do that? And how we do that? And what is the benefit of doing that?
Yeah, of course. So there are a couple of ways to do it. Again, as with most things in spirituality, there's lots of different ways of connecting, similar to like guides or spirit angels or anything like that. It's very similar. It is a lineage of people that you came from and that are there to connect with and to help and assist you. So that would be, the main reason why. Also, if you wanted to, confirm, I have a wonderful quiz here that I, in my book that can kind of help you figure out, are you a star seed and maybe what is your star lineage? But there's no better way to confirm that than actually, speaking to them. So in terms of ways of doing it, like I said, we all have different ways of connecting. And so if you have a way of connecting that works for you, like you do connect with your guides or spirit angels, it would be very similar. But I do talk in the book, it's very step-by-step of how you would do it. And the biggest thing is that you really want to be clear with your intentions. So for me, or as I say in the book, it's really basically almost just like a meditation session where you're getting in the zone, you're getting relaxed, you're in that receiving mode where you can, receive and tune in. So however you do that, I mean, we all have our different ways. I like to light candles and put on music and, place crystals around, but we all have our different, methods of doing it. So any of those will work. But what I really want to recommend is that you make sure that what you're trying to, your goal, what your goal is. And then you also just want to be careful of who you're connecting with. So basically you're going to set an intention. For example, you want to find out who your star lineage is. That can be it. You want to connect with your star family and find out more. That's a perfect intention. And then, you want to make sure that you're in the right place to connect. Some people, a lot of starseeds have said they connect best outside underneath the stars. And then other starseeds say, that's not for me. That's distracting. I need to be in my meditation room, my bed, their specific area, which is why I say there's no one way of perfectly doing this. But then, once you know what you want to say and what you want to ask, it's basically just a situation of meditation and connecting with them. And all you would say is, I now invite my star family to speak with me. You're putting the invitation out there. I always suggest, you want to say things that are in your best interest. So I say in the book here, I write exactly, I now ask for my star family in alignment with the light to connect with me in whichever way will serve me best and all of those around me. So I'm very much a fan of, making your intentions as crystal clear as possible. And also saying, you're trying to call in the light, nothing creepy. But I do want to note that you do want to verify that these beings that you make contact with, if and when you make contact, are the people that you're trying to get in contact with. So, if you aren't sure or it's your first time, you want to kind of vet them, if that makes sense. So when you first make contact, all you have to do is ask them, are they of the light, or are they a good force? However you want to phrase it. Some people will say, are you of Christ consciousness? Are you, whatever that phrase is for you, you want to ask them to verify it. And apparently I don't know why, but they cannot lie in this situation. So they'll say yes or say no. And if they say no, this is not meant to creep you out. You just thank them for connecting and disconnect. You stop the meditation or you move on. And if they say yes, they are of the light, then you're good to go and you're talking to legitimate people. They might come in. And of course, I also want to note that we all receive these things differently. And there's, different types of clairvoyance. So, you may not get the answers, physically hearing them. You might, feel them, or maybe you do hear them because you've got clairaudience. So the way in which you'll receive this information will vary across, everyone. I know some people who actually have made contact journaling. So not even, doing a sit down meditation and trying to speak with them. So it really is different for everyone. But my main advice is to, make sure you're in a relaxed state, trying to connect, verify what your intention is. Upon connecting, verify that you're talking with the correct people. And then from there, you kind of got your setup for the next time if you want to do this again. You'll know, I can talk to this person or this soul. Or interestingly enough, people have told me that they've actually know the full names of people in their star lineage, and then they can call upon, that exact person or soul or being, however you want to say, which is really, really cool. So it's basically up to you. And also, if this whole conversation freaks you out, you don't actually have to connect with them either. It's something you can choose to do, but you don't have to do.
Well, I think that's such great advice, in asking these questions, because a lot of times people may just open themselves up to anything and not really kind of discern. It's like, oh, this could be something that's not really what I'm expecting.
Right. And I think that's true across lots of things in spirituality. You really want to make sure the intentions are clear and that you're setting yourself up for the right types of people or souls or beings to be in touch with. So I'm glad you can appreciate that too.
Yeah. You don't open your front door and say, I allow anybody in, and then wonder why you get robbed, So,
Exactly.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That is so cool. And I love how this all comes together. Your book is so detailed. Did you channel this, or is this something that you've done through your meditations? How did you get all this information?
It's been a variety of methods for sure. I did channel a lot of it. And a lot of it also just talking to other people, researching other experiences. I think it's human to kind of doubt what you get sometimes when you channel. So I wasn't about to write a book of just things that I had channeled. I really wanted to kind of research them and back them up too. So yeah, it's a combination across the board.
Well, I'm so glad you did this because it's such a great book. I think it's probably the best book I've seen on Starseeds, hands down. And I love, yeah, and I love how you have like a quiz, like, hey, are you a Starseed? So people can like quiz themselves and then try to, there's another quiz to kind of figure out, okay, which one are you?
Well, my day job, I work for BuzzFeed, and I've made probably more quizzes than I can even count in this lifetime. So as soon as this book popped up, I knew that I wanted to include some kind of quiz factor, just because it's an easy way to kind of figure out, what you're trying to get to the bottom of. So I'm a big fan of quizzes, and I was thrilled that I was allowed to include them in the book.
Oh, I'm glad you did too. And they're perfect because it really helps people to identify who they can really connect with. It's like, oh, I connect more with the Pleiadians, or maybe it's more with this other group. So, I mean, people are able to really identify.
Well, I'm glad you felt that way, because I really was excited about the quizzes. So yay.
So I know that you've got so much great information here. When we connect with our star family, I know you went over like how to connect. Is it their purpose really when we make this connection to help us while we're here on Earth to fulfill our mission?
I think it depends on every person, kind of where they're at in their spiritual journey when they connect. It's very similar kind of to, my other book about the Akashic Records, because similarly to your star family, you can ask them anything you want. The information you may receive could vary, depending on where you're at in your lifetime. And I also want to note that you might, hear things from your star family when you're communicating that make absolutely no sense to you right now. They might say something and you're like, what? I don't get it. But in those situations, as with anything channeled or meditated, or things that even pop up in dreams, write it down, because you never know. Maybe later on in your life, it might make sense, or maybe not even later on in your life, maybe, 3 months down the road. So I always want to suggest that. But yeah, it really depends. People will connect with their star family, and they want to know more about their previous lifetimes, similar with, any kind of past life regression therapy, or, past life experiences. Learning about how you lived in previous lifetimes can definitely serve you in this lifetime. So you can learn information about that. Also, I think just for some people, they'll connect just to kind of make sure, to verify that, yeah, they are a starseed. And then with that knowledge, it's like, that's enough for them for now. And then they kind of go on their journey, with this knowledge that, yes, I am a starseed and I did live, in the Pleiades, or from, wherever. And then they might go back to it. So you can kind of get whatever information you'd like. I haven't really heard, different from Akashic Records. I haven't heard a lot of people, asking about their future, or what else is going to happen in their lifetime on this earth. I think it's a little bit different. It's, starseeds are really, honestly, I guess at the most bottom of it is they're really service-based, right? They're here to help ascend Earth, help humans, get to the next level. They're really here to help us. So I think it's less about, the individual journey maybe, and more about, how can we help Earth? How can we help other humans? Like, what can I do, to make my mark on this planet?
Sounds like they're really in the present moment, and living for the now, as opposed to what's going to happen in the future, because that's something that in many ways, there's possibilities of adjustments.
Exactly. No, exactly. So yeah, it's definitely cool.
Yeah. So what if someone, goes through all this and then they find out they are not a starseed? What are your suggestions for them?
Oh, that's fascinating, because I haven't really run into that yet. But I would say, you don't have to be a starseed to be special. I do feel like it is kind of one of those things that's being really popularized now. And I think people, yeah, they want to be a starseed. Even if you're not a starseed, you might have some other, journey. The starseeds are so cool to me, as someone who's really interested in spirituality. However, they're not the only, advanced beings, or advanced, spiritually advanced souls that are, discussing whether or not they want to incarnate here on Earth, right? I believe this. I know I'm not saying this is for a fact, but I think also, I believe that when we move through our lifetimes here on Earth, we learn more, and, you come back back to learn more. And I think at a certain point, you kind of learned all you need to learn, and then you become this advanced being, and maybe you decide, yes, like you're an angel now, and then you're like, actually, Earth could use some help. I want to go down and help Earth. So I think starseeds are not the only beings out there that are, making these decisions to come help Earth and to be on Earth to move things around. So I definitely don't think starseeds are the only ones that are helping in this way. So you don't have to be a starseed to be making your mark on this planet and to help, raise the consciousness, or to be a healer or a light worker. They're definitely, I would say, if there's a Venn diagram, there's a lot of overlap there, but they're not mutually exclusive.
That's so cool. And I love that because, people can really do this kind of self-examination in their lives and how they feel and really kind of dive in. And your book is such a great resource for that. You touched on something earlier that I'd love for you to share with us. You talked about the age of Aquarius. How does that relate to all this?
Yes. So the age of Aquarius, I don't know. It's fascinating to me because it's this, dawning of an age that has been sung about, in the 70s and spoken about and written about in text, which is just fascinating. And so it's interesting because at least doing my research for this book, lots of different astrologers and people feel like it could be happening at many different times. So it's interesting to me because I don't think we've really decided on when the age of Aquarius is officially starting, but it definitely feels like, towards the end of 2020, there was a lot of discussion about we're entering it. It feels like we're in it. So no matter what, I do think that we're in some kind of spiritual age that is changing things around, which is cool. But the idea about the age of Aquarius and the starseeds is just that, the starseeds want to come here to help lift Earth up. And that is the dawning of the age of Aquarius, is this new time where Earth moves from the old paradigm, the 3D, and into the new one, which would be 5D, and this crystalline energy, and humans moving on to their next evolutionary point, which I think is so fascinating. And it does really feel to me personally like we are in that or near that, or something like. I've never had as many conversations with people across the board about these types of things. It feels like people are definitely waking up lately. So I would say that has, it's a pretty good reasoning to think that maybe we are in the dawning of the age of Aquarius. But either way, it's happening or will happen. And yeah, starseeds are there basically to just help. They're here to lift us up. It's interesting because I don't want to get into, I don't want to sound like, one of those guys on Ancient Aliens, talking about how I believe that they've been assisting humans throughout history, but I do believe that. And I do believe we are at this time where, things are heavy on Earth, feels heavy almost energetically. We've got a lot going on and it feels like we're at this breaking point. And so I do think that the starseeds are here to kind of just help us move into this new era, the new age of Aquarius, and really just live the best lives we can on this planet. So yeah, like I said, not a full expert, but I do think that we probably are in that timeline, and that's why starseeds are here right now.
Well, I kind of agree with you on that because it does feel like we're in this massive shift.
Yes.
And even before COVID happened, everyone's feeling the shift. And now it just feels like it's completely different. Mm-hmm. So we can get we'll take all the help we can get here.
That's how I feel, honestly. Please.
Yeah, come help us. So my goodness, Whitney, we could talk forever. I just love your books. Why don't you share a little bit? I know last month we talked about your book on the Akashic Records. Why don't you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So I also have a similar book, came out in the series about the Akashic Records. And basically it's similarly an introductory book. And so again, it's another kind of out there heady concept, but the Akashic Records are essentially an energetic vibrational record of everything that's happened in the past and present and future. And as human beings with souls, we are allowed to access our own soul's records. And those records include previous lives. So there is actually a lot of overlap here. I have heard some people who have, checked out their Akashic records and found some star lineage there. So there is definitely some overlap there. But basically it's fascinating. It's information that about your soul's journey that you as a person can access. It's not something that other people can access and like spy on or check in on for you, but it is this information about the record of your life that exists on this higher dimension that we're able to access through meditation and other methods. So I go a lot more deep into that in the book, but thank you for asking me about it.
No, I'm so glad you shared that because I found that book to be extremely powerful and I learned a lot from it. And, and the same with your Starseed books, it's just like, oh my gosh, there's so much great information here. I think it's really like the go-to book for people that maybe are, kind of looking and doing that self-discovery and have questions, but don't know where to turn.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Because that really was my thought behind them. I know when I started embarking on my own spiritual journey, sometimes it's hard to find this information anywhere. So I'm really glad you said that. That's a huge compliment to me. Thank you.
Well, Whitney, where can our listeners connect with you and be part of your community and learn more about your work?
Yeah. So I have a website. It's just whitneyjeffersonevans.com. So you can check me out there. I'm on Twitter, even though it is kind of awful at times, kind of a dark place, but I'm on Twitter and I love to talk to positive, happy people on Twitter. And my name on Twitter is just Twitney. Haha. So you can find me there as well.
Well, Whitney, thank you so much for taking the time to be on a show with us here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you, Whitney. It is always such an honor to spend time with you and to talk about your new book, The Beginner's Guide to Starseeds, Understanding Star People and Finding Your Own Origins in the Stars. Again, if you'd like to connect with Whitney, you can at whitneyjeffersonevans.com for more information. Both her books, The Beginner's Guide to Akashic Records and The Beginner's Guide to Starseeds, is available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and all indie retailers. And if you don't see it on the shelf, ask for them to order it. And of course, you can get it on Kindle. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. You're listening to Moments with Marianne. And remember, make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary. A recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Moments with Marianne airs every Sunday, Monday, Thursday, and Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.